Now, when it comes to Claressa Shields and what she just did on that live, baby, this is not a stunt. This is not a bit. This is not a brand strategy gone sideways. This is a grown woman with 2 Olympic gold medals publicly dismantling her own reputation in real time, and anybody, the man upstairs, the team in the back, the publicist on retainer, the manager pretending to manage, somebody who claims to love this girl needs to walk in that room, take the phone out her hand, and tell her the truth that none of these yes men around her will say. You are losing. You are losing badly. And the scary part? You don't even realize you're the one holding the match. You don't even realize the match is already lit. You don't even realize the smoke detector going off in your career is not a glitch in the system. It is the system trying to save you, and you keep pulling the battery out. Before we go 1 inch further into this thing, because trust me, we are going deep, we are going forensic, we are connecting dots that nobody else on this app has had the nerve to connect. Do me one favor right now. Tap that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Drop a comment with 1 word that describes what you just watched her do, because I want to read every single one of them. Hype this video up, because what I'm about to break down is not just about Claressa. It is about a pattern. It is about a generation of women. It is about what happens when nobody around you loves you enough to tell you no. And if you stick with me all the way to the end, I am going to give you the 1 sentence from this whole story that explains the last 7 years of her career better than any documentary ever could. So lock in. Lock all the way in. Because what I am about to say has not been said anywhere else on this internet. And once you hear it, you will not be able to look at the next live the same way. Let's set the table. Claressa Shields, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, undisputed across multiple weight classes, one of the most decorated American boxers of this entire era, gets on OnLIVE, and instead of using that platform to promote a fight, sell a pay-per-view, build her brand, hype her next title defense, she uses it to attack another woman's sexual history. Read that back to yourself. Read it slowly. Read it twice. Read it 3 times until it lands. A 2-time Olympian, attacking another woman's sexual history, on OnLIVE, with her own face on camera, with her own voice on record, with her own reputation on the line. And the woman she is attacking, Alicia Baumgardner, is a unified champion in her own right, a woman the boxing world has quietly started calling the new face of the sport, and that right there, that one little detail, is the entire story. Remember it. Underline it. Circle it. Bookmark it in your brain. We're coming back to it because it is the key that unlocks everything we are about to talk about tonight. Now here is where it gets nasty, because Claressa didn't just open her mouth and speak her own opinion. She quoted somebody. She platformed somebody. She amplified somebody. And of all the people on God's green earth she could have grabbed a microphone from, she picked Adrien Broner. Adrien Broner. The same Adrien Broner who has been chased off podcasts. The same Adrien Broner who Mike Epps looked at like the man had 3 heads. The same Adrien Broner who is so far down in his own personal pit that even his co-hosts had to throw the man off the show because he was disrespecting every woman in the room. And you, Claressa Shields, 2-time Olympian, undisputed champion, multimillionaire, you went and grabbed his words and put them on your live like that was a credible source. Baby, that is not a source. That is a symptom. That is a flare gun in the night sky telling everybody around you that you are spinning out, and you cannot see the spin because you're inside the tornado. You quoted a loser to drag a champion. Loser quoting a loser to attack a winner. That is the equation. That is math. And the math does not lie. The math has never lied. The math is not going to start lying for you tonight. Let me say this part slowly because this is the part the smart people in the comments already know, but nobody is saying out loud. Anybody, and I do mean anybody, who actually loves you, who actually has a stake in your future, who actually wants to see you on a podium in 2028, would have taken that phone, would have closed that app, would have set you down on a couch and said, "Sis, breathe. Where is Papoose?" Because if Pap is upstairs, fine, he upstairs. But where is the next person? Where is the friend? Where is the cousin? Where is the trainer? Where is the manager whose entire job is to protect the brand that pays their bills? Where is anybody with a heartbeat and a brain stem who looked at that screen and said, "No, we are not pressing live tonight. We are going to sleep. We are going to eat something. We are going to call my therapist in the morning. We are going to pray. We are going to journal. We are going to do anything but go on the internet and embarrass everything we have built." Nobody. Not one person. And that silence around her, that empty room, that is the loudest sound in this entire story. That silence is the eviction notice on a career. Now, let me address something, and I want to address it directly because I am not going to sit up here and pretend like the internet didn't already do the homework. I Googled. I searched. I went deep, deep, deep because before I open my mouth about a woman's sexuality on camera, I want to know what I am saying is even remotely close to anything real. And you know what came back? Nothing. Receipts? None. Pictures with a string of partners? None. A public dating history that lines up with what Broner ran his mouth about? None. The woman is private. The woman is a champion. The woman is focused. And here is Claressa, 2 Olympic golds heavy, swinging at thin air, repeating something a known clown said on a podcast like it was gospel out of the King James Bible. That is not just reckless. That is not just sloppy. That is publicly fabricating a sexual history for another woman based on the testimony of a man whose own life is on fire. That is a lawsuit you are begging for, but pointed in the wrong direction. That is the legal definition of inviting your own destruction. That is the kind of move only a person with zero counsel and zero conscience makes in public. And then, and this is the part that made my jaw drop and stay dropped, she had the audacity, the unmitigated audacity, the certified, federally registered top-shelf audacity to bring the word Jezebel into this. Jezebel, a biblical word, a serious word, a word that, used correctly, means a woman who weaponizes seduction to manipulate men in power. Now, baby, let's hold up. Let's pump the brakes. Let's read the room. Because if we're going to drag the Bible into this conversation, if we're going to flip to the Old Testament and start preaching, then somebody has to ask the obvious question. Whose man are you with? Whose husband is your name attached to? Whose wedding vows are being publicly stretched and tested every time a paparazzi camera catches you two together? You do not get to swing the word Jezebel at another woman while you are standing in the exact biblical mud you are accusing her of slinging. You don't get to be selective with scripture. You don't get to grab the Bible like a weapon and put it down like a hot pan when the verse turns toward you. That is not how the book works. That is not how the Spirit works. And the people who actually read their Bible cover to cover are watching this live like, ma'am, what? Ma'am, please. Ma'am, sit down. Ma'am, close the app. Ma'am, find a pew. Now, let's talk about the so-called incident. The walk-up. The face-off. The slap. The viral clip. Because Claressa got on this live acting like she is about to file the lawsuit of the century, talking about courts, talking about, and I quote, taking it to the courts, not the law, like those are 2 different planets. Sis. Courts and law are not Burger King and McDonald's. They're the same building. You're describing civil court versus criminal court, and the fact that you do not have the vocabulary to separate those 2 ideas in real time is exactly why this live should have never happened. This is why Schoolhouse Rock mattered. This is why Sesame Street mattered. This is why Reading Rainbow mattered. Because if you grew up watching that little Bill sitting on Capitol Hill explain how the branches of government move, you would know the difference between criminal and civil at age 7. But here we are, grown, gold-medaled, and confused. Here is what actually went down on the tape, and I'm going to walk you through it like a slow-motion replay, because every frame matters. You, the bigger woman. You, the heavier woman. You, the 2-time Olympian with documented knockout power. You walked over to her. You walked over to her. You initiated the proximity. You closed the distance. You inserted yourself into her conversation. She did not run up on you. She did not jump in your face. She did not threaten you from across the room. You moved her body to where her body was, and then you opened your mouth, and then she responded with words, and then you put your hands on her, and now you want to go on OnLIVE and tell the world she defamed you. Baby, the only thing she defamed was your delusion. Because in every single court in this country, civil or criminal, the person who initiates the contact, the person who closes the distance, the person who puts hands on another adult in a public setting, that is the person who has a problem. And if anybody is going to be sitting across a table from a lawyer, it's not going to be Alicia. It's going to be you. She can file for you. That is not a threat. That is a fact pattern. That is exactly how the law reads. That is exactly how the precedent runs. And no amount of yelling about your relationship being kept out somebody's mouth changes the order of operations on that tape. And let me say something to the YouTube law school graduates in the comments right now. The ones with the JD from IG University, the ones with the bar exam from TikTok Tech, the ones who watched 2 episodes of Suits and now think they understand New York civil procedure. Defamation is not what you think it is. Defamation requires a false statement of fact published to a third party that causes measurable harm to reputation and that the speaker either knew was false or recklessly disregarded the truth of. Now read me one line, just one line, that Alicia said that fits that test. You can't. Because she didn't. She said this woman is running around with somebody's husband. Is that statement true or false? Be honest. Be very honest. Because if it is true, that is not defamation, that is journalism. That is observation. That is the same thing every blog, every podcast, every gossip column has been printing for over a year. You cannot sue the world for telling the truth out loud just because the truth is uncomfortable when it comes from another woman's mouth. The First Amendment is not a vibe. It is a wall. And you are running at it headfirst thinking it will move. It will not. It has not moved for anybody bigger than you, and it is not about to move tonight. Now here is where I am going to do something none of these other commentary channels have done. Because everybody is reacting to life. Everybody is dunking on the toes, the bracelets, the dress, the slap, the spelling. Everybody is doing easy commentary. But I want to zoom out, way out, and connect the dots. Because Claressa, this is not the first time. This is not the first time you have done this exact dance. This is a pattern. This is a behavioral fingerprint. And once you see the fingerprint, you cannot unsee it. Once you see it, you start spotting it everywhere. In every interview, in every press conference, in every weigh-in stare down, in every Instagram caption, in every petty subtweet that flies out at 3 a.m. Round 1. You attached yourself to the name Layla Ali. You rode that name. You compared yourself to that name. You demanded a fight that was never going to happen. Why? Because Layla had the relevance, and you wanted to inherit it. Round 2. Ayanla, in a different lane but the same energy, you orbited toward the conversation. Round 3. Remy Ma. You are attached. You rode that name in the boxing conversation, the rap conversation, the women's empowerment conversation, and the moment that name cooled off in the public attention cycle, you moved on. And now, round 4, here we are. The name of the moment is Alicia Baumgardner, the unified champion, the woman the sport is quietly elevating, the woman whose social media is climbing while yours is stagnant. And right on cue, here you come. With the live. With the accusations. With the slap. With the Jezebel scripture. With the manufactured beef. Like clockwork. Like a software update. Like a habit, so deep your body runs it without your permission. Like a script you didn't even know you were reading from. You see the pattern? The pattern is not boxing. The pattern is positioning. You do not pick up these names because you respect them. You pick them up because they are radiant and you want to stand close enough to glow. And when the glow fades, you drop them and reach for the next one. You tricked yourself out of position trying to trick her out of hers. Write that down. Tattoo that on the bathroom mirror. Because that one sentence explains the last 7 years of your public career better than any documentary, any interview, any podcast appearance ever has. That is the thesis. That is the diagnosis. That is the receipt. And no matter how many lives you do, no matter how many lawsuits you tease, no matter how many Jezebel speeches you preach, that sentence is going to follow you because it is true. And the internet has a long, long memory for true things. Now let me circle back to Pap, because I see the comments already loading up. Pap is a good man. Pap holds it down. Pap was raised in the era where you do not embarrass your woman in public. That is why he laid a soft hand on you and tried to back you out of the scene that day. That is grace. That is restraint. That is a man who has weathered storms and knows how a real man behaves in a hostile moment. But baby, a soft hand is not the same as good counsel. A soft hand at the venue is not the same as a hard conversation at the kitchen table. Pap can love you all the way to the moon, and Pap can still be wrong for letting you walk into that life without taking the phone. Love without correction is not love, it is co-signing. And the people around you have been co-signing for too long, and now the receipts are public, and the receipts are not flattering, and the receipts cannot be deleted. Screenshots live forever. The cloud has memory. The algorithm has memory. And the boardrooms have memory longer than all of them combined. Let's talk about the brand. Let's talk about money. Because at the end of the day, this is what these athletes do not understand until it is too late. Every endorsement contract, every sponsorship deal, every brand partnership, every Olympic Committee agreement, every televised broadcast contract has language in it. Specific language. Boring language. Nobody reads the language at the signing table because the check looks too pretty. That language is called a morality clause. And a morality clause says, in plain English, if you publicly embarrass this brand, if you behave in a manner inconsistent with the values of this brand, if you become a liability to the image of this brand, we have the legal right to walk away from this deal, keep our money, and never call you back. That is the clause. That is the trapdoor. And every single time you go on a live like the one we just watched, you are stomping on that trapdoor with both feet, and the people in the boardroom are watching, and the people in the boardroom are taking notes, and the people in the boardroom are quietly drafting the email that ends your bag. They are not going to call you and warn you. They are not going to send a publicist to the door. They are just going to stop renewing. The silence is the punishment. The empty inbox is the eulogy. You asked on your own live, do you think I will be in the Olympics in 2028? I am going to be honest with you, sis, and I say this with no joy. I doubt it. I really do. Not because of your skill. Your skill is undeniable. Your skill is generational. Your skill is one of the few things in this entire conversation that nobody can take from you. But the Olympics is not just a skill. The Olympics is a brand. The United States Olympic Committee is a brand. And brands do not gamble on women who go on living and attack the sexual history of other women using the words of disgraced podcasters. That is not the resume they want on a podium with a flag draped around it. So if 2028 is the goal, life has to go. The Jezebel speeches have to go. The walk-ups have to go. The slap has to go. Trying to trick another woman out of her position has to go. All of it.
Gone. Today.
Not tomorrow. Today.
Right now.
Before this video even ends. And here is the saddest part, the part that makes me sit back in this chair because I've been on this earth 50 years, and I have watched this exact movie 1,000 times. You are not unique this fall. You are just famous this fall. There are millions of young women out there right now doing the same thing, just without a gold medal to soften the landing. Attaching themselves to married men. Quoting podcast clowns like scripture. Going on lives to attack other women instead of building themselves. Calling everything defamation that hurts their feelings. Confusing courts with law. Confusing scripture with insults. Confusing a soft hand on the back with real love. Confusing the algorithm with applause. You are not the disease. You are the symptom. You are the most visible patient in a much larger sickness, and the sickness has a name, and the name is nobody around you loves you enough to say no. The name is a generation raised by yes men, raised by comment sections, raised by the dopamine of a live counter going up instead of a balance sheet going up. So I am going to wrap this up by talking to two audiences at once. To Claressa, if any version of this ever reaches you, here is what I want you to hear. Log off. Read a book. Take a class. Pick up a course on public relations. Pick up a course on contract law. Pick up a Bible and read it cover to cover before you ever quote it in anger again. Find one person, just one, who is not on your payroll, and let that person tell you the truth every single day for a year. You can come back from this. You are too talented to fade out like this. But the comeback does not start with another life. The comeback starts with silence. The comeback starts with study. The comeback starts with humility. The comeback starts with cutting Adrien Broner and every voice like his out of your information diet permanently. The comeback starts with the word no. No to the phone. No to the rant. No to the slap. No to the Jezebel sermon. No to the lawsuit you cannot win. And to everybody else, the people watching, the people scrolling, the women in the comments who see a piece of themselves in this story, I want you to take one thing away. The people around you who never tell you no are not your friends. They are your audience. And an audience cheers while you fall because falling is the show they paid to see. Real love sounds like a hard truth at a kitchen table with no camera rolling. Real love sounds like, put the phone down. Real love sounds like that man is married, and we both know it. Real love sounds like that podcaster is not your source. He is your warning. If you have those voices in your life, hug them today. If you do not, today is the day to go find them. Because life will not save you. The slap will not save you. The lawsuit will not save you. Only the people who love you enough to embarrass themselves telling you the truth will save you. Everybody else is just watching the show. Everybody else is just selling the ticket. Everybody else is buttering the popcorn. If this breakdown hit different, if this is the conversation you have been waiting for somebody to have out loud, do me one more favor. Smash that like button one more time. Subscribe and turn on the bell because the next chapter of the story is loading as we speak and you do not want to miss the receipts. Drop in the comments the one name from your own life who tells you the truth even when it hurts, because we are about to build a community in that comment section that puts real love above fake applause. And when you are done with this, click that suggested video right there on your end screen, because there is a deeper layer to this Olympic, sponsor, morality clause conversation that I am breaking down next. And once you see how the bag really moves behind closed doors, you will never look at one of these lives the same way again. I will see you in the next one. Stay sharp. Stay studied. Stay loved by people who tell you no. Stay close to the kitchen table voices and far from the live button. And remember, the gold medal is heavy, but the truth is heavier. And the truth is patience. The truth waits. And tonight, the truth showed up uninvited. The truth showed up wearing house shoes and a robe, holding a list of every name you ever wrote, every man you ever excused, every clause you ever stomped, every soft hand you ever mistook for counsel. And the truth handed you the list, and the truth said, "Baby, read it before the live starts. Read it now."